The Russian Federation's possession of nuclear warheads intended to be assaulted Poseidon Peters is immoral. The standard is running extinction in that way that this global, hateful, irreversible, and effort for violent moments to the restoring, always to restoring the many suffering justice, universal, non-contestable debt. Minorities, for generous policy, when I read countries to generous lines of maintaining the minority perception of mosquitoes carry morally true. Substance affirm even if they win their grammar interpassing. When you church success, course, internalize about members and attribute a link, not say much about nature of the link, all quantifies themselves, illustrated. Generalization true, at least one generalization is true. Advantage one, relationship. Poseidon causes an uncontrollable arms race. Bridal, level 24. Poseidon had a coastal infrastructure, naval base, institute, sets in nature, U.S. coastal marine infrastructure. Poseidon strategy, changes, grade, missile defense, legal Russian street, assault, tip, seals, eventual tours. It's saving U.S. locking, cool, breakthroughs, but it's no categories of possible verifier, limit, artificial framers, historical control mechanism, feel uncontrolled arms race, hiding, global nuclear danger. Breakdown cascades globally, nuclear war, and every die has the 99% threshold held by the threat of only new start this year. It's not what looks here as groups of heroes, mechanism, fade out, U.S. Russia, trying to keep our India, Pakistan's lubricating chain relations, emerging type threatening, in all ways results in side new conductive now between U.S. Russia, presenting template for others a model, or arms race management, pride, incentive for other dies to adopt a vacuum created by loss of natural but it's not any other run towards options of how to murder missiles and HEV. Poseidon enables Russia to rebuild its tech leadership until levels like Russian military tech and military road tanks under poor Poseidon prohibited unstoppable was intercepted, underground reputation, technology and superiority is long been a compromise. Never cornerstone of the country's state tradition, maintain relationships with India, China, Korea, affects waning international demand partners to do their own production undercutting Russia influence Poseidon, which has a simple event to restore Russia's image as a tech leader, restored by its defense side remains world class state side. Research position later carries a clear political mastermind audience remains second nature power under possession weakest. So they say the U.S.'s tech leadership causes extinction con. I can proud impact on tech and the U.S. state and national security, geopolitical standing, greater soccer, tech leadership, and tech is under tech accelerated advanced IQ proud implication of national security, solve health, energy, sustainability, clean water, food supply, poverty, and R&D across the academy, and technological change is dynamic and ever transferred, comparative position and trade rapidly vertical movement, national innovation, U.S. accidental transfer, U.S. control, tech control, academic test, U.S. sustain, global tech leadership. Poseidon damages and mod credibility, so 25% of employers on off modification to environment and mod prohibits military use of environmental, deliberately change marine environments against all over belligerents, must distinguish between combatants such as civilian objects, and mod breakdown unleashes gene militarization, extinction, NASA. 17. Genetic extinction, tech and bio, this is where saturation to wipe out population, to see cultural events, irreversible environment, military. If it's had the case of Ben, he'll use nature, eradicate entire population, that peace, food security, ecosystem, militarization, GJ, contribute and not against hostile use of environmental modification technology, see, one constitute any future opportunity for hostile reactions to extreme. Russian collapses inevitable, bad enough. 25 Russian collapses in April when attitude of degradation, no strong governance violence, journeys well by soldier return, bring serious dissolution, combined with repression, here, Russia, apart for science, population decreased by 1 million, nothing Russia intensified tensions, geographic, children's growth, starts population, logistics is unsustainable, cost high carbon model development. Intercartography, free development, progressive society, social motivation, producing class of criminals. Elite clashes now, bottom up. 25 social pattern collapsing, rebelling back precursor, revealed elite conflicts and test side pattern. Builds up pocket truths, how you open clash and criminal new control them, history. Offers for high roles, Portugal, 74, USSR fell when no nation couldn't get a state other countries that civil war or accept peace that they're in regime. Replacement is never from stagnation and prudence, ill health and perception. It's up first. 9 hope settle Ukraine dash reinforcement, nuclear bond, not to stand percent, econ growth over long term station, inflation 9% rate, 23% over D. Procure state at 17, prudent, ensure 12 life cancer success and it has kiddings. Collapses inevitable by 2096. Began 1125 Russia class by 2096 coordinating resources into Bill with fake by 2026 water rate of firms have looked out research growth self defense 38% inflation 25% 2% labor shortage collapse industry analysts expected contraction regime change doesn't cost war columns come 23 orchestra with specter of leader more terrible what percent of pressure could not a political culture any purchase weak social from not unraveling country stable ability to adapt underestimate the affairs help orderly change to leader always accompanied by liberalization not chaos advance to escalation Poseidon is real threatening and guarantees escalation cover with the Poseidon yield 100 mechanisms power over tested yielded 50 extra degree systems very real innovative resource armor forces industrial supports possessed 90 trials being submarines being built to accommodate intensive version 30 of human outbreak lead to hacking loss of control because of malfunction environmental accident lead to wrong signal and escalation to circumvent BMT talking about PTS the signal alone causes nuclear escalation chronic 20 weapons used to signal in the crisis and anticipated power loader over targets in Europe US and the crisis Poseidon waiting harbor fighter minor no situation risk of alliance between crisis war allows debate whether attack is system constitute active war system to inhibit even in conventional conflict country uncertainty nuclear especially US Russia war outweighs battlefield in terms of nuclear US Russia adverse sends to it into asteroid and source sunlight sustain cooling ozone loss and possible growth that extinction grade only possible between US and Russia 90% of the world's new small nuclear war unlikely to lead to extinctions Russia fears counter success and will use force tribe to do Russian survivability to trial the after counter first develop Poseidon promising field guarantee unacceptable damage had instability increase in independent conflict where accident exclusive developed to trial national security and sorry full operational capacity is coming soon and threat perception lock in conflict record level 7 submarine built to launch Poseidon launch over Super November 1 entry period of fading out Moscow's perception that Western nation deeply committed to fighting NATO Russia so one stay forward locations on breaking nuclear Armageddon strategic benefits ensure use and circumvent defense episcopus that key benefits Poseidon not really apparent and considered by diversifying first strike conflicts who pass into 2D to intercept circumvent missile defense even countermeasure friend besides self possessed to slightly potential detonating opcos inflict panic and military confusion to vote against scarce pursuit benefits complex flexibility use to cause this extinction lucky Nike Russian nuclear and life on Earth nuclear hill thoughts of Poseidon maximize effect to our contact with water to govern critical tsunami to recite 8,000 miles rendered uninhabitable for decades perception of its existence appends strategic stability to coverage 25 due to defense the side effects trash no user near system will be able to counter time for governance ensure survivability service security ambiguity introduce uncertainty to Western their assessments nobody can keep up collapse stability cover with the effects of stability events AI use of autonomous software states consider potential impacts we are and able to keep up our progress in deployment of Poseidon fighting stability. Serious stability solves extinction tablet. Stability to make sure that no one has incentive to strike first and tech advantage of shocks and perturbations. Say would see nor subject use of subject clear and put across the red line, applicable to rising powers and works, or restricting stability more likely with dominant type powers. Never saw this required on mechanism, reality is stability threats and defeat work after swap providing security above. And to use to cut Japanese cables consuming 24% successfully deployed Kamchatka test with surveying location where critical infrastructure such as cables are and data lack of base of sensor crisis on Japanese side has been low, so truce will change its shorter increase submarine activity warning number could increase that critical underwater infrastructure. Cable lapse is existential because IC-22 targeting undersea cable practical conflict enable direct military affairs, stop economic cutting surface one up surgery, high fleet management, insert motion continuously disrupt data flow, cyber for hobby, destruction, community disaster, during conflict cutting cables and active war, cyber trends, and existential threat. Back to affairs one. Internal sources confirm Durham will be delayed, shutdown personnel, and cost stone 25 Durham purged by shutdown, lack of plan, shutdown, pool personnel, and contract $25 billion earmarked downturn into plan admin, Capitol Hill, and industry tool delays or routine traffic costs without implementation or spending plan, unable to put up for contract increases, nursing the larger budget cost, reversing tool and jobs as long as implementation none get started. I marked stone at get started and skip Snegova, yeah. Cool, good for process.
Any reasons to reject the team?
No.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about the NMOD stuff. Where does it say that breaking the NMOD once causes the perception?
Well, it's not breaking the NMOD once, it's completely nullifying like the legitimacy of the treaty. If Russia launches a new super weapon that is capable of completely contravening every aspect of NMOD by violating the provision to not environmentally modify the sea.
Why does one violation destroy the entire convention?
Well, I think you're underplaying the significance of Poseidon. Our evidence says that the second largest nuclear power, like Russia, launching a new type of advanced super weapon that can damage the environment however it wants, whether it's through literally blowing up and causing radioactive tsunamis underwater, would certainly constitute huge violations of parts of NWAN that caused the U.S. to not want to follow the provisions of the treaty.
Lots of countries break lots of different treaties many different times. Those treaties still exist, and many other countries.
Well, yeah, and the treaties that are broken all the time are also the ones that are.
Can you put out a line in a card that says that breaking it, in all the analysis that you just did, do you have it backed up by a card that says breaking it once, it's such a big power, it's such a big thing.
The card, the line I point you to is that it would quote negates law of war.
That is true. It would contradict it. Where does it say that?
Well, no, I think the key difference is that Pedrosa is writing in the context of it negating law of war, which means that for context,
it would negate the law of war principle of distinction. Like it would contradict a principle that is in this treaty. Where does it say that it would actually cause the effectiveness of that treaty to go down?
Well, I think well, yeah, sure. So I think the first line of Pedrosa where it discusses how Poseidon's unique unlawful modification to the environment is distinct because no other weapon has the potential.
Where does it say no other weapon has?
Okay, let me pull up the card right now.
It says the Poseidon is therefore an example of a weapon that produces an unlawful modification.
Yeah, sure. So it says it would deliberately change the marine environment by causing a destructive.
I don't disagree that it actually contradicts the treaty. My question is, why is that unique? Why is it because the
NMOD treaty has not been violated to this extent before. We've never even blown up a nuke underwater and caused a tsunami because of that.
Fine.
That's just not something that we've done or Russia's done.
Cool. The SETI card. It says. Yeah, the SETI 19 card says when you've highlighted this 2 could snap, it says this 2 could snap in 2021, and it says in the
New START was extended until 2026. Either way, the SETI card is talking about broad nuclear arms control, which is still maintained, but it's at risk because of Poseidon as per the Bhadani.
Yeah, but why is it an argument for why it would snap likely now, even if New START?
Wait, yeah, so New START got extended, which solved the issue that SETI was talking about in 2019, but the Bhadani card says that a significant risk is Poseidon because it circumvents all current missile defenses, which is the unique internal link. It also highlights the fact that the U.S. has a lot of coastal and marine infrastructure, which is what Poseidon is designed to target, which is another internal link.
First of all, abstain also say on the resolution statement, interpretation abstain also say on the resolution statement, and the negative already takes violation of the Poseidon possession means all joints with the possession for all within your control, but your moral means generally wrong. Remember, sincerity about the generally are held morally principles. The resolution is moral principle, making a generic generalization, substance to affirm a fixed or negate downward to affirm moral principles. Communicate generalized without falling commitment, express generalization, generalization, semantics, textually X, true, fully, textually X, X, books, or here, X, despite majority of books and here, inability to confer to meaning, interstatistical regularity, statistical distinguishing characteristics, generic resistance, non-numerity, moral generalization, tolerant exceptions, stealing is wrong, even in the case of stealing trying to be exceptional. Do not wear info on sleeves, concerned about how many instances hold true past tests of durable quantifier inserted usually still is usually wrong. Let's say boss have no war. It's just examples, and it's not about moral statements. It's about the resolutions. It's about outcomes first because it's most precise. To gate one position, we say overwhelmingly good on consensus. The argument is just that doing a different resolution will be good. Not to need this one. It's also the basis of all program have, which filters primarily offense in the most precise in terms of the most literature definition. Debating is good. Cheesy legal minutiae and most real true limits. There's 12,000 new single new systems and combinations within a front and flip sonic institutions and teams. For the process of the K-thought theory combination MP based uniformity advantage BTXT or student turn out restart. Combining terms create reasons of the reasonably arbitrary and true intervention. RBS you don't win for fair. Next off. Expert consensus of the Russian regime is stable now. Only engine. 1222 Russian peace stable until collapse should ensure security police would happen. What makes sense is opaque stability 10.3 not full stable still continuing functionally. Relative stability. Putin's regime is all very stubborn. 25. Regime for internal external forces leaded out. Putin's popularity rooting growth patient for Ukraine failed. Elite weapon stations. Putin's civilized regime collapse criticizing dramatically. New weapons are key. The Kremlin legitimacy player 22. Secondly, apprehension to PR the Russian Navy process definitely game effect journalistic doctors accidentally communication ensure Russian Navy weapons or domestic audience unholy grades Russian competition Russia increase former nuclear matters centrally in public support and they see Poseidon is favorable to Russia and Ukraine and that ends his regime by 25. As soon as Putin launched invasion there's been deliberation as hypothetical demise of the public officer there's just a big force of offense must regard by the people as a solution even defeating Ukraine leaving air forces and you go to sleep and never wake up if this is working to lead to his downfall regime instability leads to nuclear war Matkowski 28. And Putin's Russia calling rally started by the rule of conflicts motivated by holding power Putin's legitimacy issue security last chapter regime preservation discussion doctor is motive usually survivalism. How can there consequences like legitimacy conflict virtual conflict when desperate increase opportunity use even that's fine. Next up, Russia is getting ready to get rid of bioweapons ready for 1995. Russia must compromise global ban of biological weapons. Consider Russia welcome important call by Trump. Ready for impulsive renunciation. Bioweapon acquisition limit now that nuclear abolition costs powerful. Faction 24. Bioweapons are criminalized nuclear power. The first one nuclear imperialism one history of use was later pursue bioweapons Russian tactical sophisticated states for unity increase security mission. Pursue bioweapons security. That's a scene is substitute the exact same tactical niche. Horowitz in 14. Countries that have nuclear arsenals must less likely to initiate pursuit biological weapons with the examples of recent unity eliminating chemical weapons specified for nuclear arsenal. CFX during nuclear proliferation also CBW position nuclear weapons significantly reduces the risk of CBW proliferation. The old link is also perception based one perceived acquisition causes the arms race. Yasif L23. Misperception of substitution already other countries by sensitivity intentions excessive limited lack transparency. Nature of arms race and dynamics extinction Yasif 23. GCBR is issued as a position to Japanese rebel extreme has more likely natural more valid in terms of the upper limit to actually gentry weapons. States of research make it possible to create capacities to use the rest all more than invites with intended the ability to target the impact on population incentives grow over time. The use of Russia's regional powers not have evidence of any have been capability to produce such programs. It outweighs nuclear weapons are 35. The most significant issue is bioweapons are nothing more than nukes. Bioweapons are hard to retrieve opportunity costs of low for states and bioweapons are advantages so could be nuclear when nukes is conflict kernel that use add to difference in duration bioweapons to address more immediate. Next off, the message nuclear weapons intended to be installed beside torpedoes with liquid metal cooled reactors is more infinitely the United States in general. Assembly determines so in private constantly processes that your vote since the 22 drafts towards nuclear free will that I implementation nuclear disarmament commits to 153 compared to 3 against assembly commits to nukes from a series of the human rebel. A bottom of the constitution signals were new commit to the UNG which solves extra at arrive 25. UN says the critical hospitals crisis critical in permanent global security and US resources via the ILS condition troubling to topic of the future cooperation and the transportation security and equality probably accelerating geopolitical fragmentation of organization of autonomous and new credibility effectiveness. This means strengthening the UNG security resolution more weight. AKP's 1 and EDC 646 has repeatedly held up as a term that means immediate true certainty. SB 11 in the probability either be a descriptive or normally referred to could be performed by all persons accepting our definition for this person and regarding briefings and theoretically one ground infinite substance 12,000 plus new for purposes substance 7 there's necessity of houses to fall back new stable courts and actionary dates like during some fixed rates and needs specific links to research specific news caught adjusting most logical and means burden case. One is he voted enough to concede the regime rests upon the illusion of situation. The one is he arguing for Poseidon such a powerful system incurable. It also only tunes gradual decline, which is peaceful. Our turtles about violent opposition. It's kind of immediately after goes toward the second vote of card as well. Our evidence for recent crises in elite conflict like Ferguson, Ferris is relevant. Again, it's gradual and ill health is from 7 months ago, not now. And does not say anyone is getting replaced. From gradual says econ collapse, not true regime collapse. Russian economy has been shit for months, if not years. Obviously, economic cycles always have to collect scum to have to right. It gets nothing. It's in the context of the squad is also little losing Russia. The political military asset it's stable now, which means we mean unities, but the link overwhelms the peers are also wrong by all unities evidence. People being pissed at Putin's regime is certainly not liberalization and the relations managed. It's not to play now. The impact version 2027. Harker inserted green card 23. All after arms racing is stopped inserted a purple rider to 1124. Impact evidence is already carded and it must have happened. It's from 2019. Harker inserted SETI. What is he SETI? No arms racing or actually they cannot solve coercion. Poseidon is just one of many of a nuclear modernization program. Weapons plural all causes inserted wire in purple. Capabilities are unverifiable. And Soul Runner is enough to trigger by 2018 development and one of 6 weapons in the Vice evidence inserted in purple inserted in highlights are good. And you should tell the better evidence in the paragraph above. Their author concedes Poseidon is just one of many other weapons in the US and when see Right now, Russia increased Russia's intelligence in the defense systems of Russian crews. Missile see many experts see but the US under immense pressure. The technically chips up the impact is clear about China, not Russia. Russia's too behind to begin different sort of reference con. Mental is hypothetical, does not say it has worked in sort of reference middle, and no tech control or concept of the military capabilities, but concept of the IT and soft power. The DAB is also declining due to lacking new entrants. Actually, that's no. And mod the GNA impacts about rogue actors, which treaty cannot solve, inserted in purple Nestlin, and there's no internal link. Their evidence is the US is investing in June Warfare, which violates treaty and thumbs inserted in purple, and advantage treaty goes negative, borderline evidence ethics. Harker is green. Card with D. However, experts believe Poseidon it would not alter treaty nuclear balance because Russia already possesses newly measurable increase negative threat and limited coastal areas with the prohibited states permitting inserting resolutions imperative. Projector evidence it's citing Putin's comments. Obviously, it's intended states unsolvable. Harker inserts green by 1029. Also, it's concedes it ineffective before their card Episcopus 19. Poseidon doesn't add anything that ICBMs and hypersonics don't lie. The data was larger blast radius and reaching less than hour per states. The rest I don't have to read because it was part of their card. And the perception of existence of strategic stability, if that's true, NATO don't solve because NATO has no reason to believe that Russia's removed the warhead. And nobody verifies it's covert, inserted in gray. It's about the sub, not the warheads, inserted in gray white shirts. And the usage advantage benefits are hypothetical at best. It's not even a big improvement. Inserted Harker in purple, Episcopus 19. The strat stuff Poseidon concentrated change in terms of strategic stability. Player 22 commentator no weapons are used in merged ICBMs to Poseidon strategic measure, no operational levels of capabilities of the signal power. The deal has been verified Poseidon while strategic stability. The user is highly questionable, cannot alter this balance states into the whole lane value Poseidon does not change any logic of insurance. The cable cutting stuff is wrong. The cable cutting is the subs, not the warheads, inserted in purple Cosmin 24. Also, no cables affected in Scotch 22. Concerns that you have anything true to all parts of fishing or anchors. There are no keys of government cutting cables, like six cable the coast here worldwide. And extra companies build redundancies that have GPC pipes connect to alternative routes, have long-term and cables and egress with the EV detectable. It also damages its own citizens. No Russian blackmail impact to breaches. 24 Japan will stable China that failed to involve its systems resolve this and how criminal works in IR Japan tells the US would have China invade Iran prior to nuclear Russia. Attack NATO, not all crises at the same stage Fogo is in cookie cutter. That's fine.
Wait, Crossix. Can you repeat every argument you made versus on the top of Advantage 1 that was versus the Bhadani and when you see ground Putin's ability?
Sure.
So I got the re-highlight, but everything after that.
Yeah, sure. The first Bhadani card assumes gradual decline, which is peaceful, but our internal is about violent opposition and decline immediately that goes nuclear. The second Bhadani card is wrong. Our evidence is more recent, and it prices in elite conflict like Coralynn or Prigozhin. The Ferris card is irrelevant because again, it's gradual and ill health. The argument is from 7 months ago, which is not about now. And also, it does not say that anyone is being replaced, just that like it's a possibility. But again, the ill health stuff. McGrath card just says econ collapse.
Just about econ. And was that it?
Kolesnikov, there was answers to that too.
Yeah. What was those?
It gets you nothing because it's in the context of the squo. It concedes it's stable now, which gives us uniqueness, and empirics are wrong.
Wait, why does it concede it's stable now? What parts is that?
Hold on. Kolesnikov. Any protest would be quashed. The social fabric is not unraveling.
Okay, so if you conceded that part, that like so
yeah, and then I explain why it doesn't take out.
Why does it take out?
Because obviously the link is way larger and it's the loss of Russia's biggest political and military asset.
Okay, let's go to the Putin instability dissent. The Weber link. Didn't you read the Ukraine scenario? So can we agree to scratch this?
Weber link?
The Ukraine lost link. I didn't read Ukraine scenario. The one I see.
Wait, I still think it probably matters.
Wait, no. The only internal link you've read is a for reference of a 1AC card that was not read, that was not even sent out at any point. So like, fine.
Oh, that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure, that's fine.
Okay, so the link you've cut, the plier card, if on case, like you said, that there's so many other weapons, why is Poseidon uniquely key?
Because that one has been, like, there's other weapons strategically that dump things like strategic deterrence. Poseidon was created and has been used in a symbolic way by Russia, which other weapons have not.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. The UNGA counterplan, if they, okay, so 2 questions. One, does it mandate the AF at any point in the,
No, it's not an action. So it can't mandate.
Okay, sure. The UNGA already said said that we should be free of nukes. Let's say like possession happens and like Russia gets rid of its nukes. Why would that not be seen as Russia listening to the UNGA?
Wait, first off, why would that disprove everything? The counterplan has not already happened because they've not.
Wait, no, but you've read evidence that says the UNGA already voted that said that nukes are bad.
It hasn't, because it's not said that Poseidon, the Poseidon program.
Why is Poseidon unique?
Well, that's the word of the counterplan, and to win what your argument is trying to say, since it's not a policy topic, you need to win that is already, like, the moral statement of the right, like, you have to win that.
No,
that the United States General Assembly has already determined that is immoral to win.
Wait, you're slightly misunderstanding. You've read evidence that says, like, all nukes are bad, that the UNGA has said all nukes are bad because it's toward a nuclear weapon-free world. That includes Poseidon.
Well, it doesn't necessarily say that all nuclear, like.
Wait, it says towards.
It says towards. Yes, that is true. That is not the same thing as making a determination over the ethicality of Poseidon.
4 minutes.
Frame most of the one is responsible and flowable, giving me nuclear answers and leniency, especially because this is LD. Russian collapse is inevitable. Ukraine's were atomized. This is society that's multiplied religious and ethnic tensions, internal and governance dysfunction across a massive geographical range. Ensures collapses, but now one elites are infighting precaution, created energy for further conflicts proven by Kadyrov, building pocket troops. They're uncontrollable by the Kremlin. The illusion of strength is relevant because our cards make a political claim that says it'll collapse in 2026. It's not gradual because the military is returning and they have beef to pick with Putin. Drop elites, no to our answers. They're building up new troops right now, which means their uniqueness is wrong, and it's not just about recursion, it's about other ones like Kadyrov. Replacement is inevitable. They trust that the economy is collapsing right now, which is fair because inflation and sanctions certainly means collapse is inevitable because because if the economy goes down, the entire government goes down because it can fund things like Ukraine, which they read link evidence for on the DA. Only our evidence is predictive. The impact stuff doesn't influence any uniqueness, but it makes uniqueness bad for them because protests can be quashed, which includes building for the Afghanis, voter research, and resources, proliferate Slavic trends, testing, and egg education. Since they abandoned strategies when AF reads best offense, the AF needs to spend research on fringes and means we read research, movie defense, deterrent shifts, and if he means Netflix isn't an issue, distal salts, KQB, don't straight turn, they get everything. Need to incur a cause, the logic has no impact. Archer proves their burden is wrong. Also, then Fiat doesn't disprove the resolution, which means it's not logical. Advanced shoot, they drop hacking. Cower says the Poseidon is no human on board, which ensures escalation because environmental accidents can be misinterpreted and cause first strike, which is Cower. They also drop counterforce. Russian fears counterforce sets by the U.S., which was dropped and would strike first by launching it against U.S. naval bases, cause the escalation. The comment stuff is relevant because they drop Wyeth, allies fear it, even if it's just Putin's bluster, and will force the U.S. into striking it first. Episcopus reality doesn't assume him being able to place it next year. And the European allies' perception is relevant because past disarmament from the Soviet Union has been verified. Sub is not dangerous without the warhead. The second Episcopus reality doesn't assume the arguments about no human on board above. Plier, its old pre-testing does assume his collapse post Ukraine. Key subsets counter asking defense subject. The allows subset market. These defend his definite article with subset criticalizing that as opposed to indefinite journalizing article A subsection versus the highway must demonstrate which secure or particular highway subsection refers to one ground global disarm black solid CFAs enables and as IPAT and making pick out of one new Phillips office whose generics in case check close as their unified plank where it takes a standard its IPAT debatability outweighs its only terminal to precision jurisdiction collapses because there's no terminal to it and definition debates are solved by other forums. 2. Functional limits, inherency, literature check. T is limits as to non-country generic solved, and if you attempt to sort badass all assurance returns to philosophy check the rest. Morality is not universalizable outweighs because it's actually a definition. Identifying descriptions has morality with regard to all moral agents not be universalizable. The UNCA counterplay do both. That solves the net benefit. If they already ruled, it looks like Russia following the UN's decision. It can't solve. Triple fiat is key. Putin's hedges bets on Poseidon being an upper hand in negotiations. Flex honest to the world. Anything short of a full mandate would be ignored. The counterplay looks insane. Looks like Russia randomly delegated its authority to the world's whim. Certainty is key. The world's on edge because the Poseidon deployment only a clear signal assurages escalation fears and lowers Russian threat. That's property and wire. It doesn't spill over. All causes like China, US, or every other nation ignore the UN thumb. Reject laundry lists. Each interlinks on war to check out other actors. It will be new. That solves war, which is only highlighted one. The CBW gave no shift or trade-off. 1. Numbers. There are only 30% torpedoes. Russia has thousands of nukes to plane. When incite them to start development. That's hard. 2. All causes Russia is 5 other nuclear weapons fighters. Also, the argument on case loss of one nuclear system would only cause a shift to a different one, not a new one. That's still what all causes their impact card is to of the status quo. And Russia's also restarted its program in Paris forward. 24. Russia maintained race to biological weapons, military interests, and high contained biological facility, defense interests, state new technology, supercharge the right program linked to the expansion. Military power research produced sets of the Union, similar payback expand program to weaponize easy similar strategy at work. It does not wait to drop battlefield nuclear concentration because it influences because collapses the ozone layer through nuclear winter. No CBW or impact long and Newman. 20 history of failures was serious to tumbling fatality was a hamster, not a single one died from biochase, launching large shell attack, requires event, a serious loss in perfect nation, none in CDC, the dangerous agent can be weaponized, documentation countries, grid limit outwards, and it does not wait because the drop our evidence is contextual to US Russia, which was battlefield above. D8, Putin D8. Russia has 6,000 other nukes, which hold the link. Poseidon is just a misunderstood. The Subpatsanov card concedes all causes econ, Ukraine, inserted no aggressive response to Paris and Govia. When he went face with time, Putin back down, so escalator sub 2015, Turkey shut down Russia, China. Response model clash between US and Iran first and now broke escalation barely. Local response to 2005, Putin replaced benefits with cash quickly back down culture Ukraine to make concession give a face saving persist. Back to the CBWDA, Horowitz is 0 to levy. When else? This CBWDA allows me to directly compare results to Asian and finding their exclusion bias result against expectations. They do not treat CBW as special news Asian as coding was used for the purpose of this analysis bias result in favor of H&N.
Counter-interpret infinite conditionality. One launcher, if there's a better competitive policy option, it should be chosen. 2. Clash between can once use it incentivize to go for safe. 1. I'm trying to choose Joe and try to debate where you read the same thing rather than expecting various different policy positions. 3. Netflix. The F is immigrant unpredictability for slow speech absent. It'd be very difficult to be negative. They list out positions that answer Netflix. Those are our best generics. All when those are bad on the TV show, that just means the app can drop them out. Which means the next 0 again because the F is immigrant 4 critical thinking caught up first 2 1 error choices. To get the agenda of debate. The goal of debate is respond to an intellectual challenge, answer the complex equation, one enforcement off flux, and making debate in round choices. What makes debate distinct from essay content, which means that all of their argument offense can be solved in out of round, etc. especially because they said other forms solve on the T page, which means you should go check that on there. 5, Brad Connor first to answer both worlds, which means that we learn more about E6 research. String terms there is key testing the F multiple angles, multiple advanced templates. Let's just put that F with no playing keyboards, string terms and everything. 7 reciprocity, they keep parts of the AC, which use our time as well, so we keep reciprocity, string terms and first time use. They can trigger offense to that benefit and get if no count each play, no unique traction, because if we keep the count, the whole 1AC becomes offense. And this one does not solve because it's triggered with the unstring straight turn, which disincentivizes argument innovation, kills our flex, means debaters are short from reading count plans, which does not solve any of our also. Also, dissets solve the research because they can read multiple dissets, which solve the research center. Also, there are no counter plans, which means no argument about counter plans makes any sense on this topic. I don't know what you think the conditionality means, but it's not about a counter plan because there's no actions in the resolution, which means there by definition cannot be a counter plan to do a different sort of plan. T. Our interpretation is that the affirmative cannot specify beyond the resolution. That means they cannot specify substance because the resolution is just the possession of the evidence is immoral. They violate. They specify possession dropped 100%. Frame this debate precision. The 1 year, invested substantial time into it, explain why it's a progress, and the 1 year dropped basically all of it. 1 is rules. Debate is a game. They should lose reading non-topical. Their inter just proves that debating a different topic would be better. Not that they have the burden of defending this one, but that also controls the internal link to fairness and clash because it's the only model that maximizes both. E.g., even if you believe that the Wana topic was a more fair and educational model, it would be illogical for Omi to get up here and read my Turkey app from that topic because I would be unpredictable and impaired. That is the terminal impact of precision. It's the reason why it comes first because it's words and the topic are based research and prep upon. So even if they win, then hypothetically this model is better for fairness and clash. That assumes that we were able to predict it in the first place, which means the predictability has a terminal. It is their terminal, but it controls the internal link to their terminal in the first place. 3. Also, the topic education, getting the words right teaches the proper meaning of legal vernacular. In terms of which are key portable lessons today, it outweighs their offense. It's debate is the closest to law and definition and morality. And definition debate is the most real world, so it outweighs the exportability. They say other forms solve. Which ones? Brand new in the trailer, it will be because there's just not a form here. What other form do you talk about morality other than if you're a film major at college, which not everyone is, which means it's necessary at a certain site to do this in the first place. Then not have an example means this is 0. Now we prefer our interpretation. 1. Semantics is a crush. 1 and C thought crawl is fantastic. It's the only card in the context of moral statements and the longest card running in the TDB. Thought crawl agrees that semantics might generally be subjective and imprecise, but explicitly they make sense in the context of moral rules like the resolution and must apply necessarily 3 different warrants that must be answered if they want to go for this. 1 is non-numerity. Moral statements do also say how many instances must be true. That means genericity is the only reading. 2. Adverb test is inserting an adverb form statement. Possession of the weapons is usually moral, which does not substantially change the meaning. 3. Resistance. Exceptions to moral statements do not prove it incorrect. We accept that stealing is moral even if good in some instances independently. That proves picks don't negate. So 0 is that standard. Also, the trigger must be all 3 that was above. Now, the legal definition stuff. Drop that moral statements outweigh, which means you should rush every definition that was about legality off your plug. This is not a policy habit. They drop the position outweighs, and that means the arguments about predictability must be grounded in the words of the resolution. Every one of your argument is unverifiable. Or the resolution uses the word immoral, which means it is a moral statement. It should be interpreted as winning position means it comes first. Even if typically people think that topics as legal topics, this resolution is not typical and that it's not a policy topic, which means every definition that they say that is not about moral statements should be scratched. Now the marking card is relevant. It's not about moral statements, which is about the Gert card goes negative. 1. It says in regard to quote all moral agents, which means they don't meet their counter interp. The app does not defend all. They don't meet their interp. The app does not defend all agents. So this is 0 because they only defend 1 actor of Russia. 2. Universalizable is being used in the wrong context. It's a universalizability in the context of 1 ethical framework being universalized to different devices, e.g. moral relativism, not the idea that moral statements don't have to be proven generically true. E.g. this definition means that they have to win all nukes are immoral under any ethical framework, not all ethical frameworks. Here's the paragraph after they ended their cutting. Gert 25. Ethical relevance is that there is an universal morality, kind of actual morality, or only morality, and morality is universal and connected into rational persons. Now, pragmatics, top level. It does not matter if they win pragmatics. If you're winning internal link turn to all the pragmatic stuff, winning position means that we outweigh under their standard of pragmatics. Again, that was all the analysis above. But also prefer intern for limits and ground intern for the source topic unless we're preventing a single nuke from 1 of 9 countries. Each which requires an infinite key sync strategy generics. If you don't check, there's barely any generics. Each traffic requires specific links. The deterrent state, the core data at the top, and links to the North Korea app is obviously different from the link to the Israel. Their intern would offer military base apps such as the internal account, which no links have everything because the nukes are there for no reason. Only if the resolutions only within a communicate on such an app your topic picks is wrong. 1. Limits outweigh. It's much easier to answer these picks as counterplans than it is to answer them as apps. Counterplans get nuked by picks by just writing a coherent advantage, whereas debating these apps require an entire case and specific links, which is an untenable burden. Every example of Trier gives you is negative offense because each example loses the premise in theory, which is unanswerable and affirmative. Plan P is wrong. No advantages to counterplans because they don't negate on this topic. If picks don't have a plan P warrant, it's easy to beat them on it. Even if it's true, ask it if in a practical craft deficits, the negative is infinitely more unprepared. Now, defense. Picks just do not negate, which is dropped. Wyeth, you have to vote on this because he just straight up dropped it and it was an inter and is justified by the thought roll card. They'll ask the deficit solve it. Even a team could make them compete. Teams can write their after for them, which 0 says I'll enter brute force competition. It is wrong. The 2 can brute force competition for positive counterplans as well. So often it's not unique, but the thought roll card says that moral statements, exceptions don't disprove, but subsets disprove because you have to prove it generally, which these picks just do not negate whatsoever. Now, over limiting is wrong. Will impact turn it. Broad topics are horrible for debate. They obviate negative completely. Focusing us to rely on anti-interest strategies like the K of process counterplans. At worst, small topics get slight scale, but they are still facilitating clash around a limited point of controversy. Negative obviously 08 that was overview, but 2 pieces of defense. 1, TVA solved. You can use your assets and advantage to a whole rest plan. All your robust discussion, which doesn't sever GA links. 2, it's not unique. You still have the research incentives. Look for the best advantages under our interpret for the strength of link defense on the link debate. There's always a race to talk to find answers. The Sarah's teammate, the IPS up is wrong. 1, you check by theory, process good advantage counterplans, etc. It's checked by logic feedback because at worst counterplans must be actual policy actions, which you can still read deficits. 2, their interest does not solve, e.g. if you read a subset after, you can just still figure out any deficit. Russia never goes to war. Russia doesn't put their nukes online. Russia makes their weapons immune to hacking. Are all examples of maxing catalysts that turn the case. Functional limits fail. 1 is 0 is negative ground, that was incredibly low bar. And 2, they don't apply to the apps. The generic shifts do not check. The shift it's wrong because single apps have no impact. Shift assumes all states shift to win that a biowar happens, which means that single states don't cause anything. It's also 0 by unions. And the fact that if we remove one nuclear weapon, they would just go to another one, which was their argument. 2, content not check. It's not a good model debate. 0 is all a policy. ITG was obviously bad. Solvency advocates do not check. There's no bright line. There's no essential one constant solvency advocate. So either every card counts as one for opinions, or no one doesn't. There's also way too many. Because there's unlimited amount of authors who write about random different topics. Look. Semantics are crushed because they've dropped that it's an internal link term to debatability. They've dropped that picks just don't negate, even if you want to win debatability. And they dropped that moral statements outweigh. There's like no true error.
Vote F, Poseidon to start advocacy constitution. Now, the counter term, asking defense substance. I'm good for the D definition. All I need to win is some slight risk that legal definitions matter and some defense to their predictability internally in order to refer you to vote F. The Markman evidence. These definite article that has the specifying effect on the following noun implies it refers to a particular instance of the class of the noun. This is supposed to an indefinite or generalized article like A or N. Examples uses the phrase the highway is different than a highway. The former refers to a specific instance. The latter is about all highways. That brings substance. The modifies nuclear weapons, meaning a particular set of nukes is sufficient to prove the rest. Prefer, we're citing a court case at the Supreme Court of Michigan, which is internally citing other court cases and dictionaries. Now, a couple of phrases to debate. First, the first word of the sentence always matters more. If I said possession was immoral, sure, that might apply to all types of possession, but because D is specifying, it affects everything after, which means the first word of the resolution must outweigh when it comes to determined pet. The only two in our response was that moral definitions outweigh. This is relevant because we're named that D modifies the moral the definition of morality because D means that it's a specified instance of morality. Either way, legal definitions certainly outweigh. 1, debate is law. Conceding this from the two, they should have gotten off the dock here. Legal vernacular good is our argument because legal definitions and NFS because debate is functionally law. This is their argument, not mine. So I can concede this from the 2. Morality is always arbitrary. Look at their highlighting. It literally says that philosophers always disagree on things. Think about it this way. Utilitarian would say that stealing in one instance doesn't prove that stealing is always bad. Kantian might say that stealing in one instance does prove that it's bad because it's not universalizable. This proves that morals are subjective, which means that it's possible to determine what an accurate basis for morality is, which means it cannot be a basis of predictability. 3, Thackeray is not a definition. It might be describing moral statements, but the burden for us to win to predictability is terms in the resolution, which only were defining. Thackeray is just not defining the word immoral, which means it cannot be a basis for predictability, which they said was the terminal that they said precision, which means the D definition, which is the only definition in this debate, should certainly outweigh. Jurisdiction, all their impacts are relevant because if we win, our term is most predictable, that's the terminal for precision, and I'm winning that our term is more precise, which is well. Now, I don't need to beat back any of their internal links to precision from the Thackeray evidence because they dropped our internal links, so any rest of my weighing about why legal definitions outweigh should be enough, but either way, I'm sending the good evidence. The word immoral in the descriptive sense referring to all moral agents is not universal. In the context of the rights, possession is immoral. It's a descriptive statement of morality that applies to all moral agents. That means it's not universal. So the approving a subset of the resolution affirms is sufficient to meet our burden. The response is the word being about all moral agents is irrelevant. The explanation I did above about why it applying to all moral agents and then says that for all moral agents, morality is not universal. Just read the card. Also, this is the second argument about it being about one ethical morality or like relativism. This second argument is irrelevant because this proves our argument. There are ethical relativists that disagree about whether or not morality is relative, universal, etc., which supercharges my argument that I made above about why Kant, util, etc. will all have different definitions of what morality actually means, which means court definitions, which are set in stone, should be the only basis for morality. Now, I'll also answer their internal link. All 3 of the tests, I do not need to answer any of these back. 1, predictability. Do you seriously think that anybody, perhaps using the adverb test or the resistance test in mind? Obviously not. It is only a question of legal definitions, which is what most debaters use to prep the topic, including this one. 2, Gert is better. It is citing a philosopher from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, which is the Bible of philosophy, which is certainly always a random author writing on a blog. And they also drop my D definition, which means any defense to their precision internally is sufficient to vote out, especially because I've done such all the impact on this about legal definitions. Oh wait, good debate.